Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And Gregory Moore is now joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Would you mind introducing yourself to our viewers and listeners today?
Yes, my name is Gregory Moore, aka Red Venom 10, owner of Supernatural Entertainment and Productions.
Fantastic. Go ahead.
I specialize in supernatural entertainment, but I also specialize in creativity and the supernatural. So basically, I do everything that's in the supernatural, all the way down to basically simple humor and just dealing with everyday mundane stuff in a metaphysical form.
Wow. Murfreesboro, Tennessee is a town where you're living in now?
Yes, that's currently where I resided. I'm born and raised in Chicago, West Side. Moved down here to Tennessee to kind of basically get a kickstart in my life because the roadblocks in Chicago was extremely excruciating. So now here I am. I have 2 kids. Just had one, and then I have a 7-year-old that just turned 7. So,
congrats! I know you had the little one last time we spoke. Oh, congrats! Good for you. 2 girls or
2 girls?
Good for you. And so I noticed when we signed on, he's got a Chicago's Bear sign behind him. And look, just so ironically, now I'm not a football fan at all. I hate sports, but I ordered this for my brother-in-law, who's like the biggest Chicago Bears fan. So how ironic. You see, we're connected, and you see everything's connected with energy. Look at this.
Yeah, I know, right? That is insane.
Well, why would a girl that doesn't have sports have this like at her desk? But that's because I'm giving it to him for a gift.
That is, you know what? Sometimes people overlook little small supernatural stuff like that on the regular. And you know what? When you're in the presence of somebody that really does work with the supernatural, you would find just little things like that just kind of, like you said, connect with energy. And it's just like, it's so real.
Well,
so people
tell me about what you do. So tell me how you connect with the supernatural. Tell me about yourself. Obviously, it's our first live Zoom. We have new listeners. So please give us a little background to what you do and how you can help us.
Well, basically, I'll try to put it very simple. What I do is I work with the supernatural, and I use that gift, which is natural born gift of mine, also connected using that natural born gift that's been trained under different divinities and other different people that help me properly train in the School of Magic to basically help people transform their life. So look at it from a metaphysical point of view, like how the book was right there and me having the flag in the background. I use that kind of energy right there to help synchronize people with their destiny or make the best decision that'll help them synchronize to a better destiny or a bigger picture, so to say.
So do I call you a psychic? Are you a psychic? Are you a medium? Are you an intuitive? Are you an empath? Tell me the names I need to call you besides Gregory Moore.
Well, I mean, empathic is one. I mean, being able to sense people's energies and stuff like that. Being intuitive and being able to pick up on people's thought forms or thoughts and being able to finish it off and stuff like that, and being, courteous enough to be quiet, personally myself, because, sometimes when you're talking about the supernatural and it's so exciting and, you're meeting people for the first time, you be full of fire and you just want to talk. So, you got to sometimes humble yourself and remember, it's okay to be extremely enthused, but don't let it get too much of yourself. You know what I mean? Personally myself, because I do it a lot. As you can see, and again, I have to shut myself up. I'm like, oh my God.
No, continue to talk. This is your show. So this is your platform to let everyone know what you do and how you can help them. So please continue.
Okay, now as far as for a psychic, I do sense the invisible energies around, and I am able to pinpoint different things. So like as far as for a psychic goes, if people are having issues and they're trying to look for their future being read, well, a foreteller is someone that tells the fortune of your future. A psychic is someone that has the ability to either clearly see your future or clearly see an issue that's blocking you so that you can get to your future destination. So some people will have an issue such as like, well, why am I so connected to this thing? My job is to get in there and observe it and get down to the nitty gritty, to the root of it, and then reveal what that issue is and release you from that. And then you can continue to move on. Now, as far as the supernatural, that's more into contacting the dead, more contacting, the divinity and being able to basically reveal the supernatural to people, whether they like it or not. That's a whole different other field. So each name that you threw out there earlier is a different field, and it requires a different form of thinking and a different discipline and different training.
Wow. Awesome. So, people contact you, reach out to you. By the way, tell us the website.
Supernatural Entertainment and productions.org.
Great. And what exactly, how can you help us? There's people out there listening today. Could you explain and how you've helped other people in certain instances by providing them information in a sense? Let us know how you can help them as well.
Well, let's just put it this way. I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. It's like I expect my clients to be brutally honest with me as well. That's one thing a lot of people have an issue with sometimes. And if you're not brutally honest and you're not going to be honest about it, or if you don't remember, it's my job to help you kind of juggle those memory glands. But a lot of people, they love my advice, the ones that can handle the honesty and really want to change, but the ones who just come and just figure that it's just going to be just this particular old reading, like particularly, and then they get the truth, and it's not something that they expected. It's like they expect to have the supernatural stuff, and it's just like, well, the supernatural is being able to observe and show you that, because if, like in voodoo, if you contact a loa to answer a question about something that you don't have the answer to, or like God said, lean not to your own understanding, let the Holy Spirit, guide and lead you when he answers your prayers. You don't see what it is in front of your face that's blocking you to come up with that answer. My job is to reveal that to you. And that's so much more supernatural than a lot of people realize it, because that falls in the area of clairvoyancy. And a lot of people don't see it that way. They just look like, well, I pretty much expected a little bit more than that. And it's like, well, you know what? Think about it this way. And I'll put it on myself first. I did not realize my talent was so great, and I didn't realize my future was so bright. I didn't even realize that I had a future because I was so depressed about what happened to me as a kid. Like I said, I've lost my family to a terrible fire. I mean, that's something that you just don't want to come home to. And I was posting on that on Facebook today and getting people to open their heart up to see. Like, imagine if you was in those shoes, how would you be able to look at the world? Would you still be happy? Would you still be optimistic about every day? No, most people would be like, screw this. I'm not gonna get up. I'm gonna just lay down. I'm depressed. I don't want to do nothing. I'm miserable. I'm a toxic person. I can't help it that life chose me to want to take my family away. But it's being able to see that I had a life purpose and just keep on nailing at it until I see it. Once I revealed that and I got that understanding and I followed through with it, here I am today. Now being able to
help. I'm sorry, but would you mind sharing? We have new listeners each and every week in our first Zoom. Could you explain to us the tragic story that happened so our listeners really can get to know you? I hate to have you bring it up, but it's a part of your story and your journey. And fortunately or fortunately, it makes you who you are today. So again, my condolences, but would you mind sharing that?
Thank you so much for your condolences. In the past, I'd have been like, you know what, don't worry about it. Screw that. But I'm 38 years old now, and you know what? Honestly, it's a tragic. So back in 1996, when I was 12 years old, it was wintertime just like this. It was in January 31st or January 30th. I was going to school. It was a half a day. My last words to my mom is that I'll be home, and she told me, don't come home with no F, so I'm gonna beat your butt. So it's like, I was scared to come home, because I already knew I was gonna have an F, because I play around in school a lot, and I was hanging around with the wrong crowd, but mama didn't know it, but I was hanging around with the wrong crowd. But I did go to school, and what happened is after I got out of school, half a day, having people just come and tell you, basically just coming up to you and like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for you. I'm so sorry that you lost your family. Like, I looked and I'm like, who the hell are you talking to? Pardon my French, but who are you talking to? Like, you don't know me. Why are you telling me that you're sorry I lost my family? Like, don't tell me that. No, don't tell me that. That's something you don't tell a 12-year-old kid, especially in the west side of Chicago, that's coming out of a rough life. But as the day went on and as the time went on, there was another lady that came and grabbed me, and she was so petrified about it. And long story short, she took me and grabbed me and said that I'm so sorry that you lost your family. I'm so sorry. And I didn't believe her. I almost beat her up because of that, because you don't just come to somebody, and just randomly tell them something like that. You just don't do that. Nobody would accept that. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how old or how young you are in life. You don't expect to come home to your family being dead. It just don't happen. And as I got closer and closer, I met somebody else that I knew that helped train me or raise me as I was a kid. That was my stepfather, which is my little brother's father. And he told me the same thing. And I didn't believe him either. I wanted to beat him up too. Believe it or not, I really did. I almost hit him in the mouth because he said it to me. Then he said, you know what? You ain't got to believe me. Go on over there and see for yourself. So I went through the little parkway and I went through the little alleyway and I went up into the front. And as I went up to the front, my whole life changed at that moment because not only did I see a big hole in the house, I saw fire marks all around it. I see the emblems and my mother and my little brother is no longer there and everybody's telling me that they're dead. I completely shattered. Excuse me. I completely shattered. Like from that day forth, I was like, I hate God. I hate everybody. Everybody needs to die. That's all.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to die. Everybody, because why would I, you watch movies, you watch horror films, you watch all different Boys in the Hood and stuff like that, it's Minister Society, you watch things like that, but you see it on the streets with other people, but you would never expect that, like a Batman, you come home, you with your last time you see your family is that's it. You don't even get to see them no more, and it's like, man, it tore me up. So it made me who I am today. I learned how to depend on myself. I learned how to, push through. I did have a lot of obstacles in between that because at this point now I'm seeing the world for what it really is and the monster for what it is. And it's like, you're 12 years old. So like in some cultures, they take the 12-year-old boys and, transition them into a man. But, this is something that was chosen by the divine itself. So it put me in a very powerful position of my gifts awakening to the full maximum. And so here I am today.
Wow. So did you have these gifts in a sense before this tragedy, or did you not really pay attention to them much until after this happened?
Both.
Okay.
I had them. I was born with them. I've always been able to see the future, and I've always been able to talk to the dead. I've always been able to talk to different spirits, and I even have God come in my dreams and talk to me too, physical form. It was this one situation. I won't say his name due to the fact of confidentiality and the respect of him. But it was my little brother's dad, and before he had my little brother with my mom, before we got to know each other, the first day we met each other, he said something, I don't remember exactly, but it was something in particular where it ended up with him basically saying, I don't know his name and I don't know where he's from. And I told him what his name was, first name and last name. And he couldn't believe it because he literally thought my mother told him, but she said, I swear to God, on everything I love, I never told him your name or nothing. He don't even know about you. This is the first time he ever met you. Ever since then, it was like everybody in his family and everybody around that knew him just knew me for being that gifted like that. So I've been gifted like that for a while, for a very long time.
Wow. And so you could tap in, if someone comes to you for we're to call it a reading, you can tap into their deceased loved ones, or, how does it work? Could you tell us some experience that you've had and how you've helped people? Because I'm sure there's, so many people you find comfort in knowing that your family is there somewhere, physically, maybe not in the present. And for someone like you who's experienced that firsthand, and to know that not only do you believe, that there's the other side. Some people feel lost, like they don't understand it. You help people get through a lot, I'm sure, when it comes to loss. Could you share some of that with us and some of the work you do?
Yes. In one particular situation, I was doing a reading for this one particular lady. She was a friend of ours, but she lost a loved one to her father. And, the funny thing about it is when I was doing the reading, she was able to feel her father, and he was constantly interrupting me in the reading. He just kept on having to speak. And, I don't know too much about what their relationship is like, or when a client comes to me and their dead ancestors or, their loved ones come to me and start talking to me. I don't know. All I know is what they tell me when I ask them, either it's real or it's not. When you tell me that it's not real and that you don't know that person, I automatically dismiss it. But 99.99% of every time that's ever happened, I've always been accurate. And then as it goes on, it gets to the point where they start manifesting themselves, and they can feel them sitting next to them. They can feel them, comforting them and
Wow.
stuff like that. It's so unreal. But how I'm able to do it is I'm being sensitive is what they call it, growing up for me, because I'm hypersensitive, and being sensitive is the same thing as being intuitive or empathic. Empathic is more like it because you're able to sense people, and being empathic, I'm able to sense the dead. And since I'm so connected to the dead, being that I was born on the 13th of September, which is the ninth month, which
Ah,
connects to death, and it connects to a lot of just, if you look back in history on September 13th, there's been a lot of bad things that happen. So I have all this tragedy
ah,
all over me. And it's just like, being connected to that and learning how to transcend that into being able to be open and use it for positive. It helps me connect to the dead more easier versus just being able to just say that I can connect to the dead and, being a fiery individual, and I can push my vibrations high enough and I can reach the dead. Excuse me. It doesn't happen that way. A lot of times, a lot of mediums will say that they can reach out. A lot of times you'll find that the spirits won't even come to them because they're not right, or they don't
wow.
feel comfortable in their presence. In order for a successful medium session to go properly, or to be able to manifest the spirit has to be comfortable with the conjurer first. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something you have to learn going through magic school and learning how to conjure spirits or the dead. And a lot of people don't take those classes, and which is what makes me wonder, like, what are these people telling people? I mean, you're natural, but you know what? You still like if you're a natural, how can I say this? Calculus. If you're a natural calculus, Jill, and you've always been good with math, high level of math, but for some odd reason you don't go nowhere, it's because you don't practice it. But if you go to school for that calculus and basically take that calculus and do something else, and you're able to basically see the future
Mm-hmm.
through just basically making math equations, that's what you need to do. That's something that's perfect. That makes you a sharper tool than a particular individual who's just basically saying that they're just intuitive and it's a natural gift and they didn't train it or anything like that. You have to train it in order for it to be on a professional level like yourself. You know what I mean?
Got it. Wow. Thank you. Well, Gregory, what else do you want to share with our listeners today?
Um, well, as far as spell work, that goes into the line. That's a different area. And a lot of people don't think that it's necessary, but it's kind of falls in the line of manifesting. Sometimes you hit or miss, with spell work, especially when it comes to money and stuff like that. I mean, man, this mastering money magic is not easy, but you know what? It works.
Oh, how do we do that? Tell us. Tell us.
Well, depending on the person, their energy, and what their money energy is like, if it's been drained, if it's been prepared or properly cleansed, it's so many different things that goes into it. But if I were to cast a spell for somebody that falls in money, 9 times out of 10, if it's done right, they'll see immediate results within 1 or 2, 3 days, which means that
Um,
whatever their bill is that they needed to be paid will automatically be paid from an unknown source. And it's just like, it's paid. It's paid. It's like, what the heck? Like, I've had one client that I had to do that for. My first client, when I first opened my company from North Carolina, they needed help in that area. And what happened is that I cast the spell for them, and they couldn't believe their eyes. They checked and they checked and they checked and they checked. They checked for the last 5 or 6 weeks just to make
wow.
sure that it was true, and it was paid off for them. It was paid off. So
Miracles can happen.
yes,
So you went to school as well. Say that you're certified. What type of school was it?
it's called Occult Bookstore, which
Yep.
is located in Chicago on the north
Okay.
side, and that's where I went to school at, and that's where I got my initiation.
Oh, awesome.
Instead of self-initiation, there's the hedge witch. There's the self-initiation, which you can do it, but then there's also the coven initiation, whereas you're around other people and everything that you're doing independently is matches up with everybody else that's professionally that does it and work that same way on that same vibration professionally. And that's where I realized that I'm really, 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 really gifted and talented.
Oh.
It's mhm.
So how does it work if someone wants to work with you? What is the process? You do it virtually as well?
Yes. being able to tap into what they call it electric witch, being able to tap into the frequencies of the computer, not so strong to the point where it's blowing up the computer,
Yeah,
but
it's
strong
scary.
enough to, yeah, it has happened. Believe it or not.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
you'd be surprised. Like, I'll have a phone and trying to, after doing this so much, and one day I got kind of a little, my vibration went higher than it should have, and it blew the phone out, and I had to get another
Wow.
phone. Yeah, so
Wow.
it really can happen. I mean, a lot of people don't realize it, but when you're working with real metaphysical energy, it's unlimited and where you can reach and touch at, and but you also got to have a lot of self-control too, because you don't want to really, you know what I mean. It's good to leave it out there for people to, think of the possibilities, but it's
But
also good to show discipline and make sure that,
yeah,
you're not going to be, because, some people, teaching the wrong people can be a very bad idea. Let's just put it that way. You
very
know,
true. Now, even like, what about someone who's dealing with like a court case, ticket, something like that? Is there work that can be done to kind of help guide you out of that ticket? In a
yes.
sense?
I can give you a story too about
Yeah.
one particular time. It's I know it sounds strange, but I hope that cop doesn't get mad at me. But anyway, we about to go into this rabbit hole here of the Matrix. So back in the day, when my best friend from Chicago, in Stickney, Illinois, giving big shouts out to the people out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But his brother had got into trouble where as a cop that was always messing with him because they was the only, Hispanics in the area. So they always mess with him all the time. You know what I mean? And he's known for not for driving without his license, but this time he forgot his license at home, and the cop just purposely pulled him over because they know him already. And what happened was is that he gave him a ticket and he had to go to court and pay for it. So what I did is I came over there one night, the night before he went to court, to be exact, and he told me about the situation. So what I did is unthinkable, but it was very safe. But let's just put it this way: at the next day, the next morning, that same cop that told him he had to go to court and pay for that ticket dropped the charges. Not only did he drop the charges, he also came to his house and knocked on the door and completely apologized to him for being such an a-hole because
Jerk.
he had a bad
Yeah.
day that day and he just took it out on him, literally. And he
Wow.
didn't have to worry about going to court. They dropped the charges. He didn't have to worry about nothing, and he
Oh my
thought that was just the
goodness.
dopest thing ever.
So
So
how
yeah,
did you do it? How
well,
did that? I mean, you can't tell any secrets, but I mean, like,
right.
wow.
I mean, I use a lot of herbalism, so having some connections with the area. I mean, each environment has its own spirit and its ruler. So
Mm-hmm.
knowing that and knowing the area and being close to them, it was able to help me to basically do a friendship spell. But if you look into a lot of hoodoo books and a lot of different Kuro books, they have different, herbal spells where you can actually work with that. Just, FYI, you know what I mean? If you're interested, I mean, you could definitely look up hoodoo dot, I think it's hoodoo mojo or something like mojo.com or hoodoo.com. And they have a lot of different curls that's basically created to basically help stop cops from being, bad if they're having a bad day and stuff like that. I mean, I know a lot of people, I feel kind of awkward talking about it, but you know what? That's something that, if you have a problem with attracting bad cops that just does bad things, so that's something you would want to
Yeah.
know. So.
Well, what other things can you do? This sounds so magically powerful. I love it.
No problem, no problem. Find things, locate things. I mean, like if it's something that you lost, not too long ago, I did one for my daughter. She lost a toy. She thought that it was just never going to ever come back. It was a pacifier and it was very small, but I told her give it a couple of days or a few days. It'll pop up on its own. And she thought like, no, it's never going to happen. No, I don't believe you, Daddy. I don't.
This is the 7-year-old. Yeah.
Yes. And
wow. And
oh my God. Yeah, she came to me like, Daddy, look at what I found. It happened. You were right.
Oh
it did come
goodness.
to me. I was like, yeah, I told you. See, stop tripping.
Like,
So,
would you like? Let me ask you. Like, would you know if I asked you a question like, can you feel it? Like, do you know if my brother stole money from me?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He totally did. And whatever he's using to block his intentions whenever he comes around you, he's always freezing up whenever he's lying.
I haven't confronted him about it yet.
But have you ever confronted him about something before in the past and he froze up?
No, he gets argumentative, angry, and
Yeah,
crazy.
that's
So
freezing up.
I want to confront him after, not on my sister, don't do it on Christmas Day, but I'm like, I'll wait, but I need to confront him, or do I just let it go? I mean,
Well, you know what? For yourself and for your self-esteem and for your protection, I feel like you feel like if that's something that'll make you feel well grounded, go for it. But if you also to just know that either way, either path is 50-50, you will be able to walk away happy because first of all, you know that he probably needed for something. And you know what? It's
yes.
all good. But if he didn't need it for something and he just basically did it out of spite, then I think it would be the best idea to just basically let him know because you know what, at this point, you're no longer welcome in the house, especially when it's around money.
And do I have to say to him like that I know, or how do I approach? Do I just ask him and look at the look on his face, or do I say, Anthony, I know you're still money and it's okay?
Well,
What's the better
I
approach
would
there?
I
I
would
want to.
I would say that the better approach would be probe first, process of elimination. Start with asking them different questions. Is like, so did he buy something new all of a sudden out of nowhere, and he didn't have the money before? Okay, that's the first one to start. So I would start with it like, oh, that's a nice jacket. Where did you get that from? What's the name? So how much did that cost? This much money right here. Like, did you have that money before? Wait, why are you asking all these questions? Yeah, I had it already before, but you know what? Then you just asked me before, could you borrow some money? And then all of a sudden, because was it that you was gonna buy or something like that? You know what I mean? Just to kind of give you an example of like that's how I would do it, kind of like walk them into it. You
Okay.
know what I mean?
And
The
see what he
more you
says.
walk, yeah, because
The
the
more I
more you
walk
walk,
him in, the better.
yeah, because that way he's able to open himself up and the vibrations won't lie and he can't lie to you in your face. You know what I mean? Although he'll try to, but he won't be able to because he's already opened up. And you know, in the man's world, it's logic. So if you can break that logic barrier and get into his emotions, you will be able to see where he's at.
All right. Thank you. Just my own personal question. Thanks so much. All right. How else
Mhm.
could you help our listeners? We still have 2 minutes left.
That's okay.
Thanks for helping
I
me.
mean, no problem. Anytime. Anytime. Well, I mean, there's a lot of different spells, a lot of different stuff. I mean, helping people find the right path for them, finding a spiritual home for them and stuff like that. Healing. I do a lot of healing too. So, I mean, giving the right advice on that area. I mean, the kind of advice that allows the metaphysical to get up in there and to boost the body's natural healing or to heal properly. I mean,
Mhm.
or just even basically finding the right information to basically approach the doctor with, you know what I mean? And getting the right medicine. You'd be surprised a lot of people, you know, don't are not aware of their body and how it functions. So therefore
Interesting.
they're out of sync out of it. So teaching them how to be in sync with it. And say for instance, if you have a headache, a little small migraine, and you usually typically take pills and you don't want to take pills no more, a simple meditation and learning how to still your mind will be a natural healing for you.
Okay.
And it'll also help you basically slow down with taking the migraines because if you can learn how to slow your brain waves down, you can see what's the root cause of your migraines. And if it's a DNA thing, the best way to change that DNA is to basically start speaking it to existence and not accepting that part of your DNA.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for enlightening us today. And if someone does want to work with you, could you tell us how we can reach out?
Yes, supernatural entertainment and productions.org or supernatural-entertainment at gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you for being here. Thank you for occupying space with us and enlightening us and helping so many others. Thank you for sharing your story and really great to connect with you today. Thank you so much.
Indeed.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Hey, I could say that, right? Because some people like they don't celebrate Christmas and it's like happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy everything. But yeah, and
Yeah, I celebrate Kwanzaa.
happy Kwanzaa. See
Uh,
everything. Good,
all that. Yeah, I do all of the whole thing,
good.
you know,
And
because
will you be with your family then or for Christmas?
yes, as a matter of fact, I went with my mom today. Even though I know it's metaphysically speaking, but today is her birthday, so I kind of like
Oh,
been chilling and
great.
reminiscing and thinking about the positive things about her and stuff like that. I can feel what she answers to because it'll ripple effect in reality, or somebody is, my kids or somebody that don't know me or know me will speak something that only my mom would speak, and it's
Yeah.
like, hey, that's my mama. I know it.
Well,
Hey,
tell your mom if she's listening to look for my mom. She's up in heaven out there with her too. Look for Michelle. And she says
okay.
hello. I'm sure that it's amazing wherever they are, but Really bless you. God bless you, your family, and have a great Christmas. Okay.
You too, okay, Jim?
Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. Have a great day, and
Yeah,
everyone, happy
bye.
holidays. Merry Christmas. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.